Yo, I guess you've been looking for some of the best VR games that you can find on the market right now, and you end up on this video. So since we already meet each other, let's get to know each other much better. Sit down and prepare for the best games that you can play on VR. Oh, and by the way, if you're not subbed yet, please do that. So guys, let's start the best games of VR that you can play right now. Superhot VR, which is available on Oculus, Windows, Mixed Reality, PlayStation VR, and that's it. Super addictive first-person shooter Superhot has come to a long way since its humble beginnings of the browser-based demo in 2013. It's focused on the founding of a natural home on VR headset, where it makes the most of 360-degree tracking of having enemies flank you from all the sides. Because the times moves in slow motion, when you do, the Superhot benefits from the flexibility of a bigger play space. As the difficulty ramps up, you'll need every inch of the cover to dodge on incoming bullets, bullet time style, while cursing faceless enemies using guns, shurikens, and the most satisfyingly, your clean fist. Well, let's move on. And the first game in the list is Trover Saves the Universe, which is available on PlayStation VR and Oculus. This comedy game is from the team called Stankwage Gaming, which was founded by Justin Roiland, the co-creator of Rick and Morty. And because of the fact this game very much feels like a Rick and Morty space adventure, but with the different characters. Ridiculous missions, hilarious voices, fun, colorful and bizarre stories, worlds and alien races. It's been around since 2019 on Nintendo Switch and PS4 and Xbox One, but it came to Oculus VR headsets in June 2020. It gets around the same of the tricky and has not mentioned vomiting including movement issue that are common in the other games by the placing of in your chair that serves as your game's user's interface. Trover can actually teleport from a distance to a distance using your chair. Well, we know already the first game and now we can move on to the second one. The Factor, which is available on Oculus Rift and Rift S, is the game that is developed by the Twixt Pixels, which is developers of Wilson Hard, or It Again. This time they brought an intense spy action game into VR, and from the first peeks we've had it looks more like a Mission Impossible game that is actual Mission Impossible games ever did. Released in 2019, this action shooter VR game will take you for the ride of your life, one of a fully impressive production value and lots of freedom of movement. So once again, The Factor is available on Oculus, Rift and Rift S, and only two of them. Let's move on. Arizona Sunshine, which is also another multiplayer game in our list. Lengthy VR experiences are pretty thin on the ground as it stands, and that's the part of that what makes Arizona Sunshine such an enjoyable experience. The game, which sees the exploring of the zombies instead of Wild West, is a refreshingly lensed experience that you can really sink in your teeth into, which contrasts with the most arcade exploring experience offered by other games. Movement is handled by teleporting yourself around the environment, which handily allows you to cover the great distances without motion sickness, and you reload and change weapons by moving your weapon to your ammo belt. One of the experiences we've played so far, Arizona Sunshine feel like VR games might eventually become once the developer have the time and money to craft full-length virtual reality experience. But in the short term, searching old mine shafts with a sick shooter in one hand and a blinking flashlight in the other is just plain cool, even if you'll have to keep your play session to a half an hour to the time to hold your nerve. Anyway, let's move on, we have few more games left. No Man's Sky. It's the time for the PlayStation VR exclusive. This action-adventure survival game that is No Man's Sky by the Halo Games was one of the world's most anticipated releases of 2019. That's not only because the original No Man's Sky game was perfectly poised for the VR experience. Traversing and discovering its generated worlds is already one epic adventure of many games that could gladly immerse in. However, the Halo Games has taken it to the next level by making No Man's Sky VR experience better than the modern developers have of their games, already making it an excellent contender for being one of the best VR games in 2021. Let's move on. And now the legendary game comes itself, Skyrim in VR, which is available multi-platform, both consoles and PC. At this point, Skyrim should need no introduction, to be honest. It's been released and released and released all over again. This time it comes to Oculus Rift, HTC Vive and PlayStation VR. And in doing so, it offers the biggest adventure game we've ever seen in VR. Not only do you get to relive the entire base game in Skyrim in VR, but the game includes the Dawn Guard, Heartless and Dragonborn DLC as well. Even if Skyrim VR isn't exactly perfect, having some dated, let's say, graphics, well, and not being designed for VR from the ground up, it's an adventure that easily moves from diving into it. Guys, let's move on. Star Wars Squadron, which is a multi-platform game that you can play both on consoles and on PC. Star Wars Squadron from Motion Studios is a VR game that fulfilled the childhood dreams of many, letting you play as the both Rebel and Imperial pilots. The ship-to-ship combat-focused fight sim is ideal for VR. Sure, it doesn't have a huge degree of breathtaking, but it does really deep immersion that you're looking for in Star Wars Squadron. It definitely provides. MOS Multi-platform. After a raid that seems to last this side of forever, MOS finally landed on PlayStation VR in 2018. Quilly of the Heroine's Tale may be print-sized, but the MOS uses the its to its advantage by giving the players the perspective of the rodent protagonist. A family-friendly VR adventure, you'll guide Gil through the forest and ruins, directing her past enemies and taking direct control of environmental elements to solve puzzles. The purpose to save Quill's uncle by giving her dual control over a hero avatar as an opponent influences of her surroundings is the perfect way to take advantage of the power of VR. MOS is available on PlayStation VR, Oculus Quest, Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, Valve Index and Windows MR. Let's move on. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, another multi-platform game. Assuming you know somebody is generous enough to print the 23-page manual, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is the new Mario Party, at least in the sense that it will make your friends hate you. Developed by the Steel Crate Games, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes requires careful attention for recommended to 2 or 6 players, while one player works to defuse the bomb and others have to provide clear instructions on how to do so. Demanding some intense cooperation from your peers, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is a fun game with the right of group people. And it's even more enjoyable using VR. And keep in mind that with the gamepad option with the GR version, is the Oculus Rift version must be paired with the controller. Let's move on. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which is PlayStation VR exclusive. With the most of the best of the VR games being bite-sized, Resident Evil Biohazard is the breath of the fresh air, even if it's stimulatedly horrific one. Despite the ability to play it otherwise on PC, Xbox One and PS5 proper, this is the first installment in the Resident Evil series you could say that was designed with the virtual reality in mind. That's because, unlike the entries before it, Resident Evil 7 is played using in a first-person perspective. Don't assume you can just run and gun your way through the game. However, as the Capcom has taken Resident Evil back to its survival horror roots, with the Resident Evil 7, such as you'll have to think tactically about how you manage to survive encounters with the game's freaky enemies. As Ethan Winters, as the resident of Duli, Louisiana, WoW's wife, were missing 3 years prior, you'll be tasked with exploring a creaky old deported house in an effort to find her. The silver lining in there is only one location through the game, so don't expect anything too chaotic beyond the generous helping of the jump scares. And last but not least, Star Trek The Bridge Crew multi-platform. Virtual reality gaming doesn't get much of more special and social than this, a game which you are and 3 other players team up with a pilot of Federation or starships with the long-running Star Trek franchise. Although the game includes a single-player mode, it's definitely an experience of the best enjoyable with the friends, where you'll often fall into a rhythm of anticipating each other's every need on tailoring across the action. If you don't have any friends with the same headset, as you don't need to worry, as Ubisoft also has included a cross-platform play, so PlayStation VR, Oculus and the Vive players should have no problem teaming up and tackling the Killions together. Well, that's it. Fallout 4 in VR, which is HTC's Vive exclusive. When we reviewed the original game, we loved the massive detailed oriented open world with intriguing side quests that accelerated the soundtrack. Then Bethesda's legendary post-apocalyptic open world game was given the VR treatment in 2017, complete with the full track of VR and motion control shooting. Fallout 4 in virtual reality is even more ambitious than the original game, making it the most to play for anyone with the HTC Vive and one of the best VR games so far on the hand. But this is not the end, we have a few more games coming, so stay tuned. And the next on the list we have Half-Life Alyx. If you know the world of VR games, you probably need to try this one. Some were afraid that Half-Life Alyx is one of the Valve's first VR games, and their first new entry in the series over a decade might not live up to the expectations, but without a shadow of a doubt, this is the Half-Life game that fills in the room of shoes that Valve left behind in 2007. It's that good. If you're looking for the one VR game to play in 2021, it's Half-Life Alyx. It's available for free with the purchase of Valve Index and HTC's Vive Cosmos Elite. So definitely you need to try this one out if you're looking into the world of VR games. Eve, the Valkyrie, also a multi-platform game. Yes, Eve Valkyrie will make you feel at least a little bit sick. Well, but isn't it any epic experience worth a bit of hours of pain? What started out as a spectacular tech demo for the Icelandic developers of EVE Online has evolved into a super fast and squad-based dogfighting simulator set in the deep base that focuses on the combat, allows the game to be much realistic and more visceral than its competitors, and it's most arcadey as a result. It may not be able to deliver long-term thrills, but if you're looking to be dazed by what Oculus Rift has offer, look no further than Eve Valkyrie. Let's move to our last game. So guys, that's it. This is your top list of the VR games. Thank you for watching in this video and exactly the second part. We are preparing a lot of cool stuff for you coming in maybe let's say a week or so, or maybe two. There is gonna be giveaways, a lot of cool stuff, and maybe more tires of games. Actually, there's a lot of cool stuff, so don't forget to be subscribed to our channel, click that notification button, the bell, click the like button, comment